In our application packet for this evening, we have application 913-2018 for the Afton Inn Certificate of Appropriateness, submitted by Carter Burton Architecture.
So I'll just do a brief summary. The architect developer is here this evening and can share a lot more additional information from what was submitted in the application, but I'll give you an overview of what information I have, and then we can turn things over for a presentation with the applicant and follow up with questions. So as you recall, last time we reviewed the Afton Inn, it was related to the demolition application that was submitted by the Economic Development Authority. That was ultimately recommended for denial by the Board of Architectural Review and appealed to council and approved. However, there was large community interest to try to find a way to preserve the building, and so that work continued, and that's I guess what led the EDA and Mode Development to come forward with these plans, which include saving the primary building and doing a partial demolition on the less historic front wing of the building that's a one-story on North Royal Avenue. So you can see the picture of the Afton Inn on the screen. I think most of you that were here, at least at the time, remember the tour we had of the building, so you should be quite familiar with it. It's also right next door. And we will move through these slides pretty quickly, so if you have any questions, just let me know. But again, the architect can probably answer most of the questions better than me, since they're their plans. On the first floor, the concept is to have a restaurant in the primary first floor of the primary building. So that's shown there. It's 2,342 square feet. The plan also illustrates an outdoor sitting area in the corner. Architect had mentioned that they're still working on potentially having some, changes to the plan that might include some fencing in along that area. Of course, that would be a requirement if there's any alcoholic beverages being sold. So that's something we'll have to look into. The area shown in pink is a proposed meeting hall. It was explained to me as. Got a little piano shown in the picture and some chairs. And then in the back, there's a commercial space, which could be for retail use. Again, the area in the rear is a new addition. It's a 3-story addition, and then there's a proposed 1-story addition on the side there where it'd be tearing down the existing addition. On the second floor, there's office space, as well as in the back addition, 2 office buildings, which actually extend up to the 3rd floor. There'd be loft-type apartments. And then when you go up to the 3rd floor, there's 2 additional apartments on that level as well in the historic building. So a total of 4 apartments, considerable amount of office and commercial space, including the restaurant. So here's an illustration rendering of what the design is. You can see the existing building on the right, and you can see the proposed new additions to the left there in the rear. So some of the information that wasn't really specified on the application, or some of the fine details about exactly what the bars would be on the window, how that would function, what material would be used to restore the soffit, and those type of fine details on the plan. Here's a rendering from Main Street Crescent, and then going further down on the right side, there's another vantage point looking from, I guess, where Town Hall is. again, you can see the new addition with all the glass. And it looks like they tried to incorporate brickwork at the base to tie it in with the existing architecture of the building, still a little more modern in nature. This is on the side of the building that would face the Duncan property. And so that's where they would have some commercial space proposed. That rear door there, and actually there's two rear doors. The other one would go to the meeting hall, and the one on the left would go to the commercial space with apartments above.
Those are electric meters on the back, in that back hidden alley, so you gotta have them somewhere. That's where the dumpster exit is.
All those little raised squares there. Here's another vantage point, and this shows the green roof, green wall that's shown on the plans. In your packet, there's these renderings. There's also the building elevation plans, which I'm sure you've seen. So it mentions that there are actually plant materials going to go on those surfaces. So we don't have the exact details of what that's going to consist of based on the current application. But I'll just leave this picture up for discussion.
I'll bring some of this stuff.
And that's about it. So I'll send information I'll put in there from about the historic significance of the building. I won't get back into that again since we've already discussed that.
I'll share. I've got four of these packets here. I don't know if now is a good time for me to start talking.
Absolutely.
So, been a long and winding road here, but
Could you please state your name?
Jim Burton, Carter Burton Architecture. I will say that I did a lot of research on other preservation projects last year and didn't find any solutions that other people have used to deal with how the cupola and the building is collapsing in. But I did get another engineer and a builder out one more time, and we did come up with a solution of developing structural slabs and propping the floors up 1/8 of an inch per week, and then sandwiching new material to hold that shape so we could prop everything up, get the cupola tipped up straight, and make it, preserve the main building. We were looking at tax credit options, and we invested about $10,000 in designs and worked with Morel Calbian. Actually got a phase 1 approval with the state historic group for a design, and one of the things that they coached us into doing was on this green part here is the addition in the back, and they told us they wanted to see the addition sort of step back from the side street instead of being lined up. I wouldn't have made that assumption myself as a designer because it starts popping out on the corner side, but that's what the historic group wanted, and so we drew it and they approved that.
Did they say why?
Well, they wanted on the side street, they wanted that to be back more, and that's fine. I mean, we're happy either way, and so we kept that idea. We did have a living roof on a little porch where that step back was, and they approved that as well. But we've always wanted roof terraces and having a lot of vitality on the corner. Sadly, there was some rumors that the president was going to eliminate the tax credit program, and we weren't able to work it out with the town on the tax credits. The good news was I found a better fit for the partnership for this project, and he is going to also be the main tenant on the ground floor. This is somebody who has been developing a market cafe concept where the ground floor, the idea is, one side is a market, you buy stuff. It's not waiters and waitresses. You have a lunch break, you get your stuff quick, you get back to work. Lawyers need a meeting space maybe, or an office. Just a lot of flexible use on the ground floor. The social hall may have some live music, maybe rented for birthday parties or bat mitzvahs, or there might be some live blues or jazz or something. We've got that indoor-outdoor fireplace idea. So there's some nice, activity on the ground floor. We did try to future-proof if the sort of the food side did better than expected, then that sort of restaurant function would start growing up onto the roof terrace. If not, that's a separate studio space, which would be primary. It would be very attractive for tenants. So in the end, we're trying to save the building and not use tax credits. It's costing more money, so we have to really ensure that we have a youthful energy with the addition, things and amenities that people are going to want, and then also having the historic part preserved. And so we are going to have the old stairs in the building as stairs. We also have the new stair between the two buildings. We're going to have an elevator so every level will be handicap accessible. Again, it's a little more risk on the investment, but we think it'll pay off in the end and keep the building occupied, which everybody wants. A building that's not vacant, there on the main corner. And we also went into a more diverse usage. So again, near the courthouse, near the government building, a couple offices on that middle level instead of all apartments, and really focusing on those back apartments having loft-style views to the mountains, out the angles. These are not double-hung windows. They're views heading out towards the back valley there when you get up a little higher. We are working with a local artist in Front Royal who has a studio on Main Street looking at designs for the courtyard, terrace, and sort of fencing. We've started introducing the idea of the living wall. We need plants to absorb the car pollution and the noise. We may need a little water to cool the space. But we're still in the early stages on that part. But in your packet, you see, I've got 4 examples. I just Googled living wall next to historic buildings, and they're coming up from all around the world. So if you look at these photos, you'll see it's pretty common. These examples are much larger than what we've proposed. We just have a small one-level wall. I think they're doing this in the back of the Thai restaurant now. They've got a little grid. They're planting those plants coming up for that same idea. I think we'd go a little bigger right away, not starting with smaller plants. But and then the windows in this package, we're hoping to do French casements. The top left image is from our office in Berryville. It's a 100-year-old building. The idea is they swing in. You have extra thick walls so they can stay open. They don't hang way into the room. They're kind of in the thickness of the wall. You can look out the window. You can have flowers in a little flat. We set flowers out. They hang on the railing. Kids don't fall out the window and get hurt. And So, it's a wrought iron design, and we can show you, more detailed versions of that. So these are some techniques that have been used, these French casement windows. They're very expensive, they're very rarely used, but it would add, again, more activity and vitality for the building. People opening those windows, watering their flowers, it just adds a positive energy to the place. And instead of just putting up a regular, a different kind of window, raising the sills higher. The sills would have to come up to 3 feet, which we didn't. We just want to leave the windows where they are and not change those openings.
So all those are going to be custom fit to
To
the windows?
Yeah, exactly. Now, I will say that on the upper apartment on the east side, I would like to join 2 windows so their living room could see the valley. That's a special request that I would ask for that one apartment. It's something to think about. The other apartment is facing the front street in the historic structure. So that's a reasonable approach, not changing those windows. But we felt that view to the valley is going to be pretty special, and so that's something I would want to have you consider. We haven't drawn that yet in the package. These 2, we'd probably try to do 3 of these windows side by side. They would all look the same, but that's up for debate. But what I'm hoping to do is get approval of the general massing. We're using sort of a hardy board siding, and we can come back with color presentations on windows or siding colors, but the building is continuing to fall apart, and we can't start the engineering to save the building until we know that we're, okay with the massing that we've laid out, and we've got things lined up that would happen if, we feel comfortable to move forward. But I'm open to any questions that anybody might have.
So what exactly are you wanting from the board this evening?
Approval of the massing and the general facade layouts, siding, brick, not colors, not handrail details.
So that'll be a supplement for
Yeah,
later.
we would come back with more detail, but we've been instructed, through the grapevine that it's good to have this continuous canopy over the front windows on the main level for cooling, and
Yeah.
there would be some small signage that, the middle door is for the office space. That's how you get up the stairs to the offices. We are going to add probably 1 new door in the large window to the right to go directly into the market. The market can close down at 7 p.m. There can be catering out of the kitchen that serves that social hall if somebody rents it for a gathering. There's flexibility in the way the doors would work, but if you as a group said, we really want you to just have the 1 door in the middle, we can do that. We would just have a larger vestibule. You go in that middle door, you turn right, you open 1 more door, and you're in the market. So that we're open to doing that. It's just it's harder to have a keypad for the offices on that main door, because we need to be able to lock the market at night while the office space can be more flexible. We can't have another door at the bottom of the stairs for the offices because there would need to be another landing, and those stairs would have to be pushed back And then we can't use the existing stairs anymore, and so there's little details like that. You know, if you want us to just have the middle door, we can do that. We'd prefer to consider an extra door, but we don't have to decide that today. It's you know, mainly the massing so we can get the engineering going, and then we can come back with smaller details and material specs, you know, handrail details, things like that, custom flower box designs.
Well, I do have a point. If you're talking about in the front of the building, adding a second door to that, taking out one of the glass panes,
Right. Right now,
because that kind of changes the look of the place.
There's a door on the left.
Mhm.
That rendering doesn't show it, but
Right.
the big window on the left, there's a door sill that drops down.
Mhm.
We're filling that in. That's just a window where the sofa and lounge seating is.
Right.
It's sort of like taking that idea and moving it to the other side.
Mhm.
And, you know, but if that's a problem, we'll make it work with the one door. You know,
What about the solution of having access through the back or through a side entrance? Does that change the dynamics of your floor plans?
Yeah, kitchen's in the back, beer
Mhm.
cooler, beer cave, kitchen, all that stuff. You make your own coffee, it's in the back.
Okay.
And then all the market and lounge seating is in the front. And, you know, you see that from the street. And so the counter that serves people comes to the middle from that kitchen in the back, short order service. You know, but the center door is fine if that's what you prefer, you know.
I don't have a preference to that either way. Yeah.
Right door.
What a huge difference between the last time and this time.
Yeah, I mean, I had to find a different partner that had more money, basically, and he's a guaranteed tenant for the long haul.
Mhm.
When you don't have a guaranteed tenant, the math is
Absolutely.
different, you know?
And it appears that
Yeah.
the due diligence was actually done on this one.
Yeah, it's more risk, you
Mhm.
know, but we're willing to take it on and save the building. We're gonna have insulated glass,
Mhm.
you know, so people don't have the energy bills are lower.
Right.
We would have future solar panels on the roof in the back, behind the parapet walls.
Right.
We do hope to have electric car charging stations on the sidewalk at some point soon. That's part of his market is sort of this electric car / market. It's more urban than regular gas stations.
Right.
And then the business, it's sort of like a Panera that would serve beer and wine and have some live music. It's not really something that I'm familiar with. But,
Yeah, the living roof that's sort of a big thing, and also the solar panels, because California just actually, you have to have the solar panels, the solar technology in their new ones.
Okay. Well, if the tenants can share in the benefits of that at some point, you know, that would be a good thing.
Who owns it?
The what?
Once this is done, who's owning this?
Well, the development company,
Yeah.
yeah. And they would, you know, we would put in the car chargers and the solar panels.
Right.
And,
So is there a stipulation that there is no ownership until the project's done? And what are the assurances that this is going to happen if we approve it?
I mean, I guess I'm here for architectural correct, you know,
Right.
appropriateness. And, you know, it's more likely to happen if you approve it than have us start over again. And, you know, so, but we got an asbestos report
Mhm.
in the one-story addition. It has asbestos.
Right.
We have demo bids ready to pull the trigger next week. We have fencing bids. We do want to put a curb cut. There would be a dumpster access path behind everything. I need to widen the little curb cut closer to the telephone pole so we can go straight in and not disrupt the parking that's already going on.
Right.
You know, we don't want to mess with the parking, so. But yeah, we're ready to move. It's just, you know, this is one of those steps to go here. The weather is dry, and I'd like to get the building propped up.
Am I understanding, you've presented the pictures of windows. Where exactly would they be placed? Would you be taking out the double hung sash windows in the original structure?
Right, right. Yeah, those don't meet code. The sill is below, that used to be code, 2'4", but now it's 3 feet, and so that would not work anymore. And you'd have to have a handrail in front of that double hung window.
Now, is there going to be an addition of a fire escape type situation someplace on the structure, or is?
Not needed, not
Okay.
needed. I guess to go back to that, if we have the handrail and the double hung window, you know, you're opening the double hung and the handrail is in the way
Right.
of climbing out, you know, it's sort of, things aren't quite working out. And, you know, again, the new codes have different heights.
The original plans you submitted did have a fire escape. Why was that removed?
I don't, we had a ladder to the rooftop equipment. We moved the condensers up behind the parapets so you don't see it from the streets or the sidewalks and don't hear it. And we have a roof hatch now instead of a ladder. That was not pretty, so we got rid of it.
The cement-based cladding that you have on the addition, is that going to be seamless, or are you going to see the seams in it where each piece matches up like you do in the rendering?
There would be seams. It comes in sections, and I mean, our thought was there's sort of a masonry quality to the pattern without being, you know, it makes more sense to go vertically. And some other architects were saying we should create random patterns instead. I thought that the simpler masonry look was fine. I will say we were thinking about a mural pattern in the cladding, but we've decided to stay cleaner and simpler, and maybe a mural happens on the brick down the road if the mural program is, you know, a good idea.
So why vertical instead of horizontal?
It just felt better for this particular layout, the windows and you know, but
I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my first impressions were I liked the massing. That nothing was too even or too tight together, so that step back works for me because it doesn't look like it's just this Lego stuck on the side, like it doesn't fit, I guess. I feel like stuff is being built around it, but not necessarily onto it.
Right.
we had to try hard to have that little hyphen behind the, like on this view, there's a small glass hyphen before the addition kicks out, and that's tight. I mean, we're dealing with setbacks and, you know, getting the bathroom to work. It was very tight.
I'm a fan of it. It incorporates the old with the new. It also sort of brings us a little forward. And a lot of smaller old towns sort of have the sort of old and new mix. I have no problem with this at all.
I don't either.
The due diligence was done, the renderings are fantastic.
Yeah, the-
Yeah, I'm not sitting here feeling like I'm being lied to. Elf in the room thing. I mean, the last time I was very, very strongly opposed to it because there was no
It's
due
stucco,
diligence.
monstrosity, and nothing was being
Yeah.
preserved. We've got 3 full walls instead of 1 half wall.
Yeah,
It's actually 4, you know, I mean, we're keeping that back wall too, and it's in the hall.
Oh.
Yeah, it's in the hall.
I
Yeah.
missed that.
So you'll see brick in the hall. We have to rebuild the stuff that's falling apart. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Oh.
all the way around.
I missed that.
But thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Would-
Mm, there was gonna be a compromise somewhere, but
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
much more, I don't know what I'm looking for. This is just a lot better. What is gonna be your solution for the new brick and the old brick and filling in windows with brick? Just I
Well-
saw the windows filled in and I was like, what, why? But then I realized that's in the back, like kitchen area.
Right.
And I was wondering why maybe those weren't just painted?
Well, there's like the beer cooler, the
Mhm.
beer cave, or I've sort of lost track of where we're filling in, but we're trying to show
It's
where
behind
the
those
where
coolers.
those windows were, with a slight recess. You know, we're gonna try to recycle some of the brick, but I don't think it's the same size from the addition, you know, so we're gonna do the best we can. We're not planning on painting this, but if we do, we will bring it back to you for discussion. You know, it's just, we try to make it look crisp with all the work, you know, but if it still looks, you know, like some problem spot. I mean, there's a lot of history in the patching and filling and, you know, and that's like, we think it'll, with the flower box rails, that there'll be enough things dressing it up, that it should be fine.
Will there be signage proposed?
Separate proposal, yeah. And I didn't say it, the cornice is gonna be the existing cornice, and we'll rebuild where the pieces have fallen and preserve what's there. And I think it'll be wood, and I can't think of why it wouldn't be. Like if we had to replace 1 or 2 of the brackets, we just can't render those brackets very easily.
I don't think anyone would notice anymore.
Well, but that's all, yeah, keeping it as it is.
I guess I really miss the shutters and the balconies and things that make it what it was.
The front porch, the double, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the sidewalk used to be different
It was a lot smaller.
size, and the road
True.
got wider.
Are you ready to make a motion?
I motion that we accept this. The only caveat being that material finishes, colors, there'd be a final sort of vote on that, and if you change anything that's contrary to that, that it also be brought up for release consideration, and not an office that we all look at it. versus going in and talking to somebody else and having it approved.
So the way I interpret that would be that you would approve the conceptual plan,
Yes, but there would be no
but
administrative
once the
changes.
final architectural plans are finished, then you'll review those before construction starts.
I mean, that's fair. We've made
Yeah.
everybody else do this. But no administrative changes be made without it going in front of the bar. Hang on one second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
This was very nice.
We want to get it done so people can enjoy it.
And you can be done with it.
And we can be done with it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you. Hopefully soon.
Next week.
Thank you.
All right, so next on the agenda is old business.
There is no old business for this evening.
Yeah, that was our old business. We haven't had applications in a while. Okay. Any other fun facts, tidbits you'd like to bring to the meeting?
I actually do have one. There's been some changes on Main Street, and
A lot of them.
there's been no BAR meetings as a result of it. We've got permanent structures off Chester Street. We had a meeting specifically about someone putting windows in on Chester Street, and now we've got fenced-in areas. I'm under the understanding that if we're going to put somebody on the cross for a roof that's not even in the historic district, it's the overflow area, that with the new signage that's out right now, a number of stores have new signs, the fence, painting. I think we should adopt either another town's sort of historic guidelines, or we actually work towards creating our own, so that these buildings are not just painted blue colors.
Yeah.
Paint is in our
Yeah, it's not-
rules as something we don't
Well,
dictate.
when you go down to a historic
It just says
district,
no
the colors
garish.
of the buildings and the way that everything is done on a downtown area, the first thing I see is the color. And I think that
Sure.
as we're growing and we have these grants, we have people spending millions of dollars, I think that we should be more involved in that. I mean, Mr. McDougal was here, we had to approve the color on his buildings. The Barnharts were here, we had to approve the color schemes on their buildings.
Well, wasn't because they were painting original brick.
The code requires color to be a consideration on new construction and on surfaces that are not already painted, but it exempts any type of oversight on existing painted surfaces.
And I'm saying we should change that. If our historic district has such loose guidelines, I think that they should be a bit more stringent, and I think we should be a lot more responsible in what we're projecting.
The topic has come up in the past. I would be glad to kind of put it on in a future agenda,
Absolutely.
and we can
Discuss
review
it.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
guidelines as well as what the code says, and then kind of have a brainstorm session there.
Absolutely. I just want to bring it up because that's something that I'm thinking about, and
But, yeah,
Like-
we've done that for a long time and nothing happens.
nothing happens. If you go to Berryville, for instance, you can see what they've been doing to their small town, to their historic district. It's amazing. And I think that it's our responsibility as the Board of Architecture Review in the historic district to be more involved in that. I mean, it's just an opinion.
We haven't really looked at the guidelines for review purposes. and
Absolutely.
They're 2013, so, yeah.
Yeah,
why
I
not?
mean, even if it's temporarily adapting someone like Warrenton's, or, I mean, we don't want to go crazy like Old Town Alexandria, but I think that there should be more involvement There's been a number of administrative changes that have happened. And I think that, I, for one, I'm not a big fan of seeing a wooden fence in the back of whatever structure that is. I mean, we've talked about all the backs of the buildings, and, you know, if we're going to be consistent, I think that we actually need to be consistent. If we're gonna put someone on the cross for a roof, then we should also be considering what we're doing actually in the historic district. And that's just,
Yeah, color just
Color's
comes
important.
out at you, so.
Have you seen the guidelines?
I guess I have seen the guidelines.
Okay.
And I think what I'm saying is the guidelines need to be, it needs to be
Altered.
different. It needs to be updated. We've got these grants going on, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. But we need to be cognizant of what's being done downtown. That's it. With a smile on it.
Well, let's get an agenda item to review them.
All right, I'm glad to do that. That'll be fun.
That's all I've got.
Okay. There's no other business. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.